No, I thought I was like looking it up, like what.
Did you get anything
Like,
good stuff?
Parkinson's disease. I thought that bad.
Well, they don't bite, they peck you, right? Like, I was like, I haven't seen a chicken do it. I have seen a duck, like, try to bite it.
Thank you very much. Hey, Ed. Me and my wife went over to a friend's house that had a rooster that was so vicious. It was on the hood of her car trying to peck her through the windshield.
Oh my God, okay.
Yeah, doesn't exactly make you wanna get out of the car.
I had a flock of turkeys do that to me.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let me drive my car. I was like, I'm gonna run you over, turkey, and have a big old dinner.
Yeah.
It was an evergreen, actually, down by the gray, it's like a great big mansion down in there that I was going to an event.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm trying to drive my little car, and they just were like, nope. It's just standing in the road, pecking on my windows.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to protect his ladies, so it's fine, he was doing his job, but.
About 5 years ago, Chuck, you have to know this. Remember when we had the turkey living on Virginia?
Yes, I do.
Whose turkey was
Nobody
that?
would believe me.
It was absolutely
Was it
living.
someone's
for like-
turkey?
It was not a
2
wild
weeks or
turkey.
something.
It was a regular turkey.
Yeah, it was so wild. He flew in, he hung out for like 2 weeks. and
Yeah, I think he got away
people
from
were like,
somebody and they
"What?
couldn't
On
find
Virginia
him.
Street?" Like, yeah,
turkey cake?
No, it was,
Wait.
no, he was just a regular
yeah.
multicolored turkey. He was on the line. I was like, oh, that's a
But he
pretty.
wasn't wild?
I don't
Well, I
think he
think he was wild.
I don't know, Chuck, but the wild ones are kind of like longer and rangier. This one looked like he was ready for it was around Thanksgiving. I was like, I used to go to someone's dinner.
Let's just say the timing was
That
questionable.
guy got away and we can't find him. Nobody in our street was talking on Facebook that there was a turkey in the neighborhood
Yeah.
because we didn't want to get caught. But
He got started.
I just remember I was like.
Sorry.
I noticed there were a lot of people buying turkey fryers that. Hey, I would like to welcome everybody to the City of Idaho Springs, Monday, December 8th, 2025 work session. Just a few items on the agenda for the work session. And we're going to start off with police radio encryption. Chief, welcome.
Yeah, invite Elizabeth from chat to come up.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to join us. Thank you.
Yeah.
The chief, if you need another chair, feel free to bring another chair
I'm
up.
sorry, these.
Need it?
Okay. So mayor and council, I take part in what's called the chat community engagement group with Elizabeth. There's community representatives. Sarah Casano from DHS is unfortunately she's under the weather. She wanted to be here tonight as well. And so that was formed as part of, as a result of the Christian Glass matter and tragedy. And so our relationship and what we do in those meetings is we are able to provide a voice for community members to also participate in how the chat program is being run and how what the community can do to kind of guide that group and give advice and feedback. We don't get into obviously confidential cases or anything like that. It's just more high level discussions. And so what happened was in these discussions, it became an issue that was brought up by both Sarah Casano and Elizabeth, and I won't speak for her. She can certainly speak for herself, but the issue of privacy became a concern of the group, and that the whole purpose of having the chat team is for us to have a group of people that are like LPCs, also social workers, and there's also a medical aspect to that. And we work very closely with them. I mean, today, there was a call involving an individual. And we work on our LE1 channel because we work so closely with them and they work with us. So these discussions about privacy came up when we started realizing there were people monitoring the scanner, and they were identifying people that both law enforcement was interacting with, but the chat team was interacting with. And so that became a concern because of the stigma of mental health and the stigma of, we want people to reach out for help. And I also understand the damage that law enforcement has caused with some of the misdeeds and some of the poor decisions of former law enforcement people that don't work here anymore, or are prosecuted for crimes. So I felt it was important that the council understand that this is a privacy issue that came up in the discussions about mental health. And that's where this is where this originated. This didn't originate from law enforcement trying to hide anything or not be transparent. I think it's also important to know that, as you all know, we all have to wear cameras. So we have cameras in all of our interactions, all of our enforcement, everything we do is on a camera. So whether the media asks for that, whether Andy or the mayor or somebody wants that information is available. So what there is an aspect of this impacting law enforcement as well. And in the example that I provided in the very lengthy memo, which I try not to send you all novels, but it was important to try to explain everything, was a recent case in which we believe this person was using a scanner to track law enforcement as he was running around terrorizing the community. That endangered the officers and deputies, and endangered the community. So I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth to kind of touch on where these conversations started. And I've touched on that, but also maybe some examples of how you're seeing that impact just the people that you're interacting with.
Sure. So Chief talked a little bit about the chat community engagement group. One of the things we did when I came on board and sort of we reformed this group was just really look at what is our purpose for being together? What is it that we're trying to accomplish? And what we landed on was, how do we help this community heal and restore trust in public safety in Clear Creek County? Yes, it all stemmed from the Christian Glass tragedy. The existence of chat really stemmed from the Christian Glass tragedy. But we all got together. As he mentioned, there's community members involved in this group. Sarah Casano, the director of DHS, the director of public health, law enforcement, Dr. Ryan, JCMH, the Kara Campbell from JCMH was involved. So everybody who we could think was a stakeholder in that kind of question. How do we help move this community forward and heal and restore trust? Got together, we had these conversations, and one of the things that came out of that was, let's talk about radio encryption. So what we find is that as people learned what chat is and could hear us on the radio, they became aware, maybe more aware than previous, about where those vulnerable people are in the community, right? They're paying maybe more attention to those calls if they're listening to the scanner all day, because chat's been dispatched. So, we've got somebody with a mental health issue. And that's just, it just was really difficult for me to kind of get my arms around the fact that even if I never say somebody's name, right, I have to protect HIPAA. Law enforcement does not, the radio does not have to protect HIPAA. I do. So even if I never say somebody's name or give anything away about what that person's problem is, just the existence of chat being on scene is stigmatizing. And we are all about destigmatizing mental health. That's part of how we move forward from the Christian Glass tragedy. That's how chat's existence helps this community, is to destigmatize mental health, make it not scary or shaming to call 911 when you're in crisis, or to call chat when you're in crisis, right? But the existence of that data just out there on the radio for anybody to hear, anybody who happens to tune in, it was really difficult for me to sort of think like, ooh, how do we manage this, right? The previous places I've worked in, their radios were already encrypted, so it just wasn't an issue. And of course, up here, transparency is critical. I know, and not just because of the Christian Glass tragedy. It's very important for this community to feel like law enforcement and first responders are transparent, and that they have access to the information, that nothing's being shoved under the rug or hidden. And so, yeah, our group just kind of went like, okay, we've got these two really important things. How do we juggle that? How do we manage that? How do we hold these really important things and address them?
And then as part of that, all of this discussion, that's why it's a lengthier staff report, is there's things that were occurring, for example, the AVA climbing accident. We're trying to keep, I work very closely with Jenny, who is the PIO of the sheriff's office. And, you know, it was a small department, I wear a lot of hats and I'm the PIO. So I'm the chief, I'm trying to also do the PIO stuff. That's only myself and and Danielle are the only two that really post on social media. And that's, for right now, that's by design, but it also is another issue for us when we're trying to put out information, what's happening, because people want to know what's going on right at the moment. So I do rely a lot on Jenny Fulton, who's the PIO at the sheriff's office. She's called me on a number of occasions, including the AVA climbing accident, where it was on the weekend. She said, look, we have people there, they're likely gonna land a helicopter. Do you mind if I go ahead and put something out? I said, that's fine, because that way we're being as communicative as possible. It's really kind of a teamwork point. And she's a full-time PIO with the sheriff's office. So being able to rely on that to be able to get more information out in a timely manner to the public is helpful. But at the same time, that's almost used against us. So she put something out, and the next thing you know, there's somebody saying it's a climbing fatality, yet we had not identified the person, we hadn't notified their family. And now you're having to try to sort of right a ship when information's put out, and it's already out, and it's out there. Those things are gonna happen anyway. I mean, sometimes those things are gonna happen, but you're penalized if you put information out and then other people hear bits and pieces on a scanner and put out whatever they want about that situation. And
Is
then
that-
vice versa.
Is that what happened, chief? Is that was expounded upon by what they were hearing on the,
Correct.
you guys talked?
And that's what happened with what was put out also in the report that I mentioned about the double fatality on I-70. There was information, there was radio traffic going on during that incident. It was a deceased animal that was inside the vehicle that was burned so poorly. And the responders on the scene said there's another person or another thing that's deceased. And so that information gets put out as now it's a double fatality, when in fact that's not true. It was an animal. Still terrible, but that's not what the reality was. And you have people on the East Coast in the United States putting that out on our social media page, which I thought was also fascinating. So it's not just like a local person that did that, that's somebody that lives they said that because basically what happens in these apps is you can actually see a narrative and it posts it. And so when they posted it, the time difference was on there. And so someone said, why is your time difference like that? And they said, well, I'm on the East Coast. So it's kind of a fascinating thing. And it's amazing about, I guess what I would say is technology, that just information just is going out and can be viewed, wherever. So there's layers to this. There's layers to this issue. And I think that, and Elizabeth mentioned in one of the conversations about vicarious trauma, there's people that are listening to these things and they're being impacted. There's residents that are being impacted by some of the things they're hearing, like aired on the radio. And I'm not kidding. Then the chat team ends up dealing with these people. I'm just, without details, I know that that is happening.
Yeah, I mean, I just talked about being accountable to HIPAA and being very committed to confidentiality. So there's very little like example I can give you about situations that have happened. This is a very small community. And everybody knows everybody, it seems like, and they know an address. And so even if somebody's name didn't get on the air, if they know an address, then they've got that information. And yeah, people don't necessarily feel safe for listening to the radio, and stuff gets out there that creates new crises for people. So, yeah.
And I thought it was important, I invited Colton with the county, to weigh in on the topic as well. I think it's important because this is really an all or nothing. I mean, we're either all doing this or we're not doing this. And, I think there's, like I said, a number of layers, and I think it was important for Colton, do you have anything you want to add to kind of this discussion?
I think, we're all the county's position is they're supportive of this. They are committed to transparency, but the amount of information we have from the body cameras now is way more than we ever had on the radio, and that doesn't have any collateral damage. This is just another place for misinformation to get out, because I was a police dispatcher in college, so I understand exactly how this radio traffic can go. It's very confusing because the people on the ground are reacting to stuff in real time. And so we don't want more chaos in the community by having 10% of the information over the air. On top of that, we do have, we quit having public meetings at the health clinic because we didn't want to stigmatize anybody, because we had the public in that room from getting addiction help or all that kind of stuff. So we feel like if any person doesn't get the help they need because of unencrypted radio traffic, we've kind of failed in some kind of way, right? And so we're really trying to make sure that, while understanding there is a need here, the sheriff's office, because they do have a full-time PIO, feels like they can get the information that people need out, and they're getting out a much more reliable, full narrative of what's actually happening, and not 10% of a traffic reposted by someone in Boston, right, on social media, which a lot of times just makes the situation worse. So that's where the county's position is, but at the same time, we're all partners. We're all in the same LE1, so we wanted to make sure that we got all the municipalities buy-in before we made any kind of change like that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I think, as I put in the staff report, the cost is obviously negligible. All of our radios already have this capability. It's just a matter of paying the tech to come up here and flip the switch and add the encryption key or whatever that is. I'm not a techie, but one of the other things I did mention that I think is important is that our relationship with Jefferson County Sheriff's Office has been much more involved as of late with some of these incidents that have happened where we've had to go, we went to the high school shooting. They've been in our county, and there's such a large agency. If we, heaven forbid, ever had some sort of a active assailant situation, they are going to be one of the largest and biggest, closest agencies to come in and be able to provide resources. I mean, if we ever had something like that here in our city, in Safeway or something like that, I mean, I would certainly be asking for mutual aid and for them to help in a big way, like take this, So that's just that's another level of us being on the same, being able to communicate during these incidents. So I think and I know that it's really sort of the same even with the sheriff's office. They rely quite heavily on Jeffco as well. So I mean, there's all these sorts of layers. I think that frankly, the number one thing I feel like in trying to empathize with people is privacy. I mean, if it's your juvenile, teenager who's going through some sort of a crisis, I don't really think that's anybody else's business. And I do realize we're small and we may have people that will gossip, but that information being broadcast on a radio I mean, are we gonna have a parent not call in because they're not wanting that to be out, and which is also not a great decision. So that's why we're here. I felt it was important because I sometimes feel like in our profession, this could be, someone may say that we're trying to drive this train. I'm not trying to drive it. I'm just trying to explain the various levels and why it's something that we're looking for, a unified sort of approach. So I think we just open up for questions, because I'm sure there's a fair number of questions.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go around and I'm just gonna ask everyone, for questions, and I just want you to know at the end, I would like to know council's feeling as far as either supporting the encryption or not. But Janine, please kick us off.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's any like statewide or nationwide trends in this area. You mentioned the other agencies you work for was already encrypted. Like, what would you say is happening with this issue in the larger scale?
I mean, you might know this better, but I believe the majority of radios are encrypted. It's a national kind of, like FBI kind of level where they won't work on anything that's not encrypted.
That's a comment.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we know from JetCom, we're the only customer that's not encrypted.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And that's pretty much true throughout the metro. And additionally, if we don't have encryption, the feds can't talk to us either. So just like with Jeffco, if we have some huge wildfire or whatever here, the feds only work encrypted. So maybe not, wildfire might be the exception, maybe that's a bad example. But any kind of law enforcement event, we would not be able to talk to them.
Okay, Janine, good question.
Sorry.
Yeah, I did notice, I've been keeping my eyeball on the news, and that just recently, there were two other organizations down in that metro area. I believe Golden, who now is on Jeffco, pretty recently went, and then there was another agency, more of the eastern side of the metro area, I believe.
Kate? anything on your-
I don't have any questions, because I went back and forth when I read the packet about this, and obviously my only suggestion would be that we get out ahead of the indictment.
Commentary.
The indictment of why we're doing this and why we're all doing this together at this particular time. And be very clear, like, this isn't about any particular instance that has happened. This is about that. I know that I actually watched it on Facebook, especially the fall, and it was traumatizing to like know that information was getting to me faster than possibly her family. So I think it's actually a good thing. However, I just think that we want to make sure that we have our whatever our words out ahead of it, so that we can prepare ourselves for that backlash, which will absolutely happen.
Lisa?
I also had the same concerns. It is concerning that the feds won't talk to us without encryption. It's actually really concerning. But I do think that the privacy aspect is the most important thing, because if you're having a crisis that would need the help of the folks at chat, that's not a crime. That's not an alleged crime. That's not a suspicion.
Nobody's
It's not a
damn
warrant.
business.
Yeah, it's nobody's business. So it should not be out on the internet. I also watched that real time of the fall, and that was awful. Like, that was terrible. So my question for you would be, do you have guidelines, basically guardrails for when you would go encrypted? Because I do think Kate is right, that this is going to be something that you have to talk to the community.
Yeah, I feel like this is the first step, having this discussion here publicly. I think that one of the things we could obviously attend the community events that we have. I think we've had like every 4 or 5, 6 months. The hard part is I don't know if it's helpful for us to even put this out on social media, because all that's gonna do is spurn venom.
Yeah.
Especially coming from the police department. So, because you're sitting here listening, and I appreciate that and understanding all these layers. And a lot of people are just gonna grab onto the fact that they're gonna say the police are trying to hide something. And that's not what this is about. So I would be open to either an offline discussion about what your advice or what you might suggest that be. Because I don't think no matter what, I honestly feel like no matter sort of how we approach that, I certainly would be asking Elizabeth to partner in those discussions because, you know, I'm a person of integrity. And so when I came here to sit down and talk to all of you, these discussions started by them, not me. In fact, when they brought this up, I said, are you crazy? Because I don't want law enforcement in this county to be sort of either blamed or somehow roped into being like this entity that is driving this in a direction. There are parts of it that affect us. There are parts of it that can affect our safety. The fact that we are seeing more instances of people being, you know, in our profession being ambushed and whatnot. There are those things, but that was not a driving factor at all in this discussion. And, you know, I just know, and I wish Sarah was here because Sarah was really kind of a big driver in this. She said that she downloaded the app, or one of the apps, and listened for like 3 or 4 days while she was sitting at her desk. And she was shocked because she was, as a person, I don't want to speak for her, but a person who deals with the Department of Human Services and those types of issues that can be very sensitive. She was really pretty upset and driven to say, this is something that this group should really look at addressing. So.
Yeah, I want to support that. This came to us at the county through CChat and DHS, not through the sheriff's office.
All you have to do is Google it. It's actually,
Yeah.
it just, I mean, the first couple hits are, it's a national growing trend to encrypt for police safety. And I mean, I guess my question would be, so let's just say something happens and there's an incident and it doesn't go well and it's obviously somebody's fault that he's
Sure.
wearing blue.
Sure.
Would it be the public's right to see what that body cam video looked like at that point in time? Because, you know, I don't honestly don't even understand the mentality of somebody that sits and listens to a scanner unless it's you, or you. No idea what your fascination is with other people's lives. But they do it, but I wanna make sure that that person after the fact would be held accountable by the community, as we've seen it with other situations. So would that be something that, let's just say I wanted to review the body cam, could I do that?
So there would be a request, and there's so many what ifs in this, in what you're asking me. If there's an active investigation being done by CDI,
Then no, yeah.
then that could put things on hold.
Mhm.
Typically, under state statute, I may be wrong, but I'm not Carmen, so we dealt with this as a city when I first got here as the chief. And so the legislature enacted that if a person files a complaint on a situation involving deadly force or excessive force, that there is a clock that starts to tick in which information and the videos would have to be released.
Okay.
That was something that happened right shortly after I got here. And so ultimately, yes, it could be seen and viewed, but the time, I don't wanna
Sure.
put it.
And that makes, I think anything under investigation, all that information is sealed until the investigation is done.
Typically.
And then it's
Standard.
also, there's, you know, levels of protection, if it's Joe Public who wants this information and has no nexus to that call, then that person's identity is gonna be protected, especially if
Yeah.
it's a mental health kind of situation or a
That makes
medical
sense.
situation.
And again, I'm not asking for that, I'm just saying that would be the
Right,
reply to that question of,
Yeah.
when can I see this? When can I know about this?
Right.
Jeremy, your thoughts?
Okay, I've been involved with the same conversations, again, and this sort of thing we understand. Yeah, we're talking about LA1 with this, this is gonna go way beyond LA1. For the same reasons, so
What's LE1?
law enforcement, the first primary law enforcement channel,
Okay,
we're having the same discussion with Alpine Rescue to encrypt one of their mission leader channels for the same reasons we're having problems here. And C3 SAR, which is the search and rescue channel, is also being encrypted. Because most of the information that was pulled from the climber wasn't as much LE1, it was C3 SAR and LE1 both crossing over because they're both available on Broadcastify. So anybody who was listening was getting 30% of the LE1 conversation, 30% of the SAR conversation,
And none of the big.
and none of the big picture, and they were linking things together in a really interesting way. And it's not a cohesive link, it's just,
I think those people are.
so this conversation that started with LE1, we're.
What, the ones
we
that are
as
just
an house, if
like,
I take
just
off
listening?
the hat of,
I think they're not drinking.
council hat, we're gonna encrypt our radios the same way. We're doing the same thing, we wanna maintain our ability to talk on LA1, which we've always done. We agreed to encrypt I've got more radios than anybody, so I'm doing that. Yeah. So, but this is across 3 agencies, and a lot of it is to control, not gonna control the narrative, but to make sure the narrative that's out there is accurate. Because right now the narrative out there is like 30% of the information is getting released.
Well, I think that's a
and
great way to
it's
say it.
gibberish, And there's no control over it, so we'd like to control the narrative. If somebody from the public says, I would like the dispatch tape for this call, it's readily available, it's encrypted at the time of transmission, it's not encrypted once it's on tape. You still get a dispatch tape, you wanna listen to all the audio that's still available through an open records request for any of these channels through DEFCON, they're all recorded for that reason. A lot of it is to control the narrative during the incident. And prevent some of the stuff that's occurred on the law enforcement side, some stuff that's occurred recently on the search and rescue side. With mission leader decisions on rescue or no rescue. So this has come up all at the same time, ironically. With the same agent, with the same exact problem with a lot of the tip involved. Information is getting passed involving patients. That's readily available to the public that it shouldn't be, that we have no control over as individuals providing care. And how do we not really lock it down, but how do we control the narrative? So we can effectively do our jobs, have the conversations need to be had over the radio. And then it's to control and go here's all the information you wanted. After the fact, here it is, here's everything that happened in the order in which it happened. Now you have 100% of the facts. And it's the conversations I've been involved with over the last month and a half or 2 months.
When I worked, I think, it was very easy to move to encrypted because when you hit a certain point, opt to encrypted it.
I think
Well,
it's a
and for
great
us,
idea.
it's all or nothing, so everybody gets encrypted, so when we go, yes,
From the very
encrypted on
beginning.
Tuesday, every radio is encrypted on Tuesday. Otherwise, we were paying for what's called a hex code. I don't wanna pay for a hex code, I don't think you wanna pay for a hex code. That hex code allows us for me to encrypt and him not to, we can still talk. It's really expensive to do that, so the intent is we all encrypt on a Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock, boom, we go live. Dispatch goes live at the same time, and from that point on, it's always encrypted. The SWAT channel's been encrypted for 10 years. For that very reason. But so it's all or nothing, otherwise there's a fee to that and it's not worth. Jeffco Sheriff's Office has been encrypted for at least the last 10 years I've been dealing with it. And it's very effective. We're gonna be a little different on this county because fires can have access to the encrypted channel, where Jeff doesn't have to do that, that's a whole different weird combination. So operationally, it doesn't make a difference, and all it does is protect all the information that the team has to send out. It actually frees us up to say more stuff than we can say right now. So we can probably all collectively be more effective,
Get
no
more to
matter
the
what
point.
it is,
directly.
because now we can say it direct versus playing the phone tag game that we currently do to make sure that stuff's not on the radio.
Gotcha.
Scott, your thoughts?
Well, I think Jeremy just hit on a lot of points when this information goes out and then it just gets falsified and everything is not the way it is. I think that hurts everything, the agencies that are working. So I think it's a no-brainer that they have this right, and Chief hit on his integrity. I think we have to rely on our police force's integrity, that when it does come out, it comes out accurate.
Right.
Very good. Any further questions before I ask?
I do think that I think your idea about offline conversations about how to handle this in the community, I think, this is just my opinion, that's all it is, there's nothing behind it other than I pay attention to our social media. And I think the reasons that chats started are part of the reason that you're seeing a greater interest in what are the police doing. That's just that simple. So I think if you go into this knowing that there is a level of skepticism, whether it's deserved or not, that if we can work towards helping address that, and I think your police reports, and people say to me, what happened? I'm like, did you read the council report? The police department reports about what happened, they're always in.
I mean, as long as we have a timely response to the situation, like, maybe we have something that you agree on, anything that you can release within maybe 48 hours and let that be part of the narrative, like, this is when you'll find out what's going on. What they don't need, what the emergency services don't need is you taking out of context information that you received, putting it on Facebook, outing people that don't need to be outed, and then having multiple public comments about that person. I don't wanna see that for anybody in our community.
Yeah.
And that would be how I would say it. Like, if this was happening to you, would you want this out? Would you want me making arbitrary comments about your family life? Or whatever else is going on? So, I mean, this is gonna be one of those conversations where I'm certainly gonna get in trouble in public, but cause I feel so strongly about people's privacy. So I'm willing to go to battle for this one, absolutely.
Another issue real quick. And then before we get too far. On LE1 encryption is why Jeffco does it is. If you want to instill my identity and I get pulled over, you've got 90% of the information you need to do so. Just by sitting on your couch. This is why Jefferson County, one of the big reasons they went encrypted. Most agencies do that for a reason. Because you're passing over driver's license numbers and social security numbers and addresses and all this information that shouldn't be out there in the public, but always has been for 100 years. Right, so that's the other reason that this privacy thing, Neil, so for you, if you get pulled over, do you want all your information out there? And somebody lives in Boston, I would prefer no.
100%.
But right now, that's exactly what's going on.
Jeremy, great point.
Good point.
I would just share too, one of the other things that came out of our chat engagement group, we had a whole kind of list of things and exactly what you're talking about in regards to transparency and understanding what's going on with chat, what's going on with law enforcement agencies. And we kind of listed out the different things that have been done. The full-time PIO at the sheriff's office is a great example, right? Where that messaging is
It's coming
quicker.
from, yeah.
So to your point about kind of getting ahead of it, maybe some more overt messaging about how the community has already changed
Maybe,
and what we're already doing.
Elizabeth, maybe like some sort of like in response to past experiences, this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And this is how we're also being still, the information,
Transparent, yeah.
the information is
Yeah.
very, I can't say transparent. Transparency would be, let them just interpret whatever they want, however they want it. But we are going to give you what is happening. This is
Right.
what actually happened. So, yeah, I appreciate that. And I think we can find some sort of dialogue that we can have readily available to council members, because I think this will be something that we field for quite a while.
Well, for all of the great reasons that have been pointed out tonight, it probably won't surprise anybody. I am all for encryption. And I would just like to go around the table and get the feeling of council so we have direction. Janine, you kicked us off.
Sure, yeah, and just to echo kind of, I also work in child welfare and I can only imagine what Sarah heard and how important it is to protect, yeah, the privacy, identities of just those situations, so yeah, definitely in support.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, Lisa?
Yeah.
And Jeremy or Scott? All right, it looks like it's gonna be unanimous from council. Andy, Guy, anything to add or any further direction?
The changeover would go all together like countywide, correct?
It would. It
Sheriff's
would be
office.
what Jeremy said. It would be a specific day and time and that would happen. It gives Elizabeth and I and the county also, time to work on what you're talking about and,
Just give them a head up,
about.
give them a heads up on the day, because I really want to be watching Facebook that day. Talk about watching the scanner. I'll
I'm
be like,
not posting anything about that, but I would.
oh, they'll know as soon as it goes off, they can't listen to you guys. You'll hear about it.
We're sitting here.
We'll hear about
Yeah.
it.
It'll- well, yeah.
You do listen to this, Canton.
Sure.
Canton.
I want to watch this like a
What's going on.
TV show.
I know that when something is happening, I go right to Facebook group to see what are people saying, not what's happening, but what do I see people saying?
Oh, yeah, the comment sections,
Yes.
do shots with that.
Send it out.
I'm not sure, and I don't want, like, the impacts on the county, I mean, there may be further impacts on the sheriff's office as far as costs and.
That's gonna be quite expensive for us. I have pretty old radios in some cases, but this is a priority for us primarily because of the privacy concerns primarily, but, so we don't have a firm timeline yet. We've got to figure out how long it's gonna take us to get our equipment updated, but that'll give us time to make sure that the narrative is correct.
Thanks, guys.
All right, well, Colton, Elizabeth and Chief, thank you
Thank
very,
you.
very much.
Thank you,
I
guys.
really appreciate you giving up your time tonight.
Absolutely.
Important subject. Next up, Dylan, extended stay licensing update.
Sure, yes, so we're getting quite close to the deadline that was set for extended stay licensing, February first. So I thought it was a good time to give an update on where we're at briefly and talk about next steps, I suppose. So we had 6 applications, 2 of which are fully licensed. Which means 4 of them are still working through something at this 11th hour. But 3 of the 4 are very close. They've met all of the requirements of what we said you need to include as basic things, but for one reason or another, they're missing something or other with the fire authority inspection. They're relatively minor things, talking to Kelly, who's been on site at all those places, but they, might be missing something with wiring or with carbon monoxide or something like that. So I think those 3, we think probably get there in the near future, hopefully by January 1st. And then there's a 6th that is not very close and hasn't met the standards that we set for fire inspections, and so is likely to hit January 1st and not have a license, but is clearly doing extended stays.
Okay, so you're saying that 3 of the 4 who do not have licenses, you anticipate around the January 1st, they should be able to get it.
Correct, and so, in talking with those 3, they do a combination, I would guess, for the most part of maybe they have some people who stay for more than a month, but a lot of them are short-term stays only rooms. And so, they would, but regardless, it doesn't matter, right? If you don't have the extended stay license by January 1st and you do any extended stays, then you'd be in violation if you don't have a license. And so for those 3, it's likely, it may just be an issue of they can't get into fire inspection again by January 1st or something like that, or they come back out and there's still a small issue or something like that. And so when I talk about enforcement, I think it's in those cases, you say, well, you don't have a license, you can't do long-term stays. Then if you catch someone doing it, they're in violation. We didn't specify in the ordinance how we would enforce, but we talked with Carmen and Nick, it would be likely, we'd go bring a citation to them, they get summons, fines, what have you. If they're very close, I don't know if we'd give any sort of grace as far as a warning or something. It'd probably take them time to prove that they're doing it. So, I don't really know.
What do we do for what do we do for, what are they called, Airbnb guys, the 15 licenses, what are the same warnings, wouldn't they be the same?
Well, I don't really know, because the license for short-term rentals would have different penalties attached to them necessarily, and we'd have to similarly prove that they're doing it. I don't know that we've ever actually prosecuted anyone for.
Which is a shame, because I know a lot of people who sent in.
Well, and it is a little bit nuanced with short-term rentals, because if you have a license, we've never had an issue with one of the people who has a license doing it incorrectly. It's the people who don't have a license that are the issue. So in that respect, we'd have to gather enough evidence to sort of build a case, because we didn't write into the ordinance what the penalties would be for advertising or what have you. But you're right, Kate. It could function the same way, I suppose.
I mean, it'd probably be easier for staff.
And we just issue or I guess we'd say, hey, you're in violation, send a letter, gather the evidence, and then have PD issue a citation.
And fines, what's the fine for, again, I don't even know what they're called, not an STR, is it STR?
Yeah.
The little ones?
A non-licensed SCR.
Yeah.
Well, the fine is that we don't have the fine written into the code, and so you'd have to take them to court and then we'd have to prosecute them,
Well,
get a fine back.
That seems like a bigger way around to get them to do what we want them to do, which to me, just starting accruing fines, to me would be
Right.
a motivator to get my things in order.
Sure. Well, and so I think for the sixth one that we are working, like they're working with us, but they clearly, I would say, are not going to get there by January first. So in that case, if there's a clear, like that path makes sense. I think more my request would be like, let's say someone has a ceiling canyon. And that's the only thing keeping them. I guess we could still issue a citation and say you have to go to court for this because you had a year to do it. Or I suppose council could give some other sort of direction. I think talking with Andy, sort of internally, I think people have had ample time to get into compliance, so giving.
Well, what do you think, Dylan? I mean, do you think they've had ample time? Based on their financial, whatever, if there was a financial burden?
Well, at least in one case, I didn't even, it took them more than half of the period to even get me all the things they needed. And then from there to schedule an inspection took another several months, so if they're only getting the inspection done like a month ahead of time of the final deadline, then I wouldn't think that we want to be too lenient versus someone who had to put tens of thousands of dollars into their business. Which I don't know that anyone has to date. It's all been pretty minor things.
I mean, I tend to be more hardcore on this kind of stuff, but I don't wanna be I would say a year seems like an adequate amount of time. Especially
been a
since
year,
I didn't think
hasn't
we imposed
Yeah.
it wasn't that much that we were asking for, they were just really modifications that could just be moving things around.
Right. Well, and the big one was requiring
Inspections.
kitchen facilities,
Well, yeah,
which if you didn't have like a shared kitchen facility on site somewhere or
Yeah.
things in each room, then you have to build that.
mhm.
But that might only be the case in one of the 6.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jane.
Do we think these are all the people who are operating long-term stays? Like, has everyone come forward and applied for a license?
Not that many
we're
buildings that
aware
they
of?
can
There's
actually
not
do
that
it.
many.
I was just curious,
I mean,
because we send letters to everybody who we thought was doing this, is that right?
We sent it to anyone who had a business license
Okay.
as a lodging operator. And not everyone, like certainly there's some that never got back to me, and so I just have to assume they're not doing long-term stays. And if we find out otherwise, then we say you have to stop this until you get a license. But for folks who have applied, I think there's kind of like someone who's a optimist would say, well, if they don't have it in time, no problem, they can work to get into compliance because they just can't start long-term
Yeah.
renting. But in reality, that there's some that are offering extended stays already, and that was the whole point of this ordinance, and so.
Now, I'm not splitting hairs with you, but if it goes into effect January first, then actually nobody's in violation until January 31st. Because at that point, they would have exceeded the 30 days.
Right, I suppose if there was a lease that was already in place for more than 30 days, then that probably would be a violation, but otherwise, I agree.
I'm only bringing it up because in your report, I can see that there's at least one that you think is gonna be real close, but may not quite get over the wire.
Right, and
If they had a little extra, very little extra.
right, and that is a good point, is technically speaking, until someone has stayed for more than 30 days after January
First
1st,
effect.
they're not in violation unless, like I said, we can find a lease or something that says, but I've talked to a few operators who say they only do week leases anyway, but then with the ordinance is written, like, clearly people are still staying on site for more than 30 days, and so it still doesn't meet the requirement. But that would be a case where we have to get the evidence to suggest, well, this person has been in this room on the premise for more than 30 days, which may be difficult to do anyway.
So for direction from council. Obviously, if somebody's being non-compliant, then too bad, right?
Sure, right.
I don't think council's going to shed a tear over folks just being non-compliant. But for someone who has worked, as you have alluded to earlier, maybe put tens of thousands of dollars trying to bring it into compliance, would you feel like maybe giving them another 30 to 60 days, depending on progress?
Good faith progress, you can call it,
Yes,
maybe?
that's a good way to put it. Would be reasonable.
I think it would be reasonable,
I mean, if they're
Wait,
making.
I heard, but
Good.
He
I was-
doesn't wanna set a precedence, was what I would
Well-
imagine is the case.
I don't wanna set a precedent.
it would require an ordinance to change, which is fine. But I think it would mean that if we're comfortable amending the, let's say, compliance timeline, or just amending the ordinance in general, we'll probably hit that January 30th and 31st deadline anyway, and still be in a situation where we're sort of.
So if they're not, they will be in compliance. They're not gonna be out of compliance until after January 31st, because that will, if people are doing long-term stays, January 31st comes, you don't have your license, you are now out of compliance. I think for your folks that have to push it over the line, that you are concerned that they're close but not quite there, you have until January 31st. I mean, I don't know, would this be something they would have to come and ask for a variance for an extra 30 days and talk to the variance commission?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's a pathway.
I've never been to a variance meeting, so I have no idea.
Normally it's for.
It would.
Hey, Nick, thanks for coming.
I didn't see it.
You snuck in.
No, it really would be an ordinance change.
Would it be an ordinance change?
Yeah, to the language, because the language
Lemon's
says
shirt.
essentially.
Yeah.
You have
Leave it
to,
to-
you have to be in compliance by the state and there's no maneuverability for.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other change we've suggested is Dylan having some authority to give out waivers, subject to good faith efforts.
I don't actually have a problem with that, because you're the one that's dealing with it. If it's hard and, a hard and cold case where you're saying, look, these guys have done everything I've asked them to do, and here's the holdup. The refrigerator's on back order, and they simply cannot get the equipment into the kitchen. I mean, there's not much you can do about that, like,
Right.
if that's the kind of stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think it would be, or it's like, we have to remove certain things in order to comply, and we haven't been able to get an electrician out.
Yeah.
All right, I like that wording, good faith effort.
So could we just have direction that effectively we're not gonna be doing enforcement until after 30 days?
January
That's what I'm
31st,
hearing.
folks are in
And
violation.
talking with Dylan, I think that probably 3 out of the 4 are probably gonna make that mark.
It's almost 2 months.
And then we're not, if the attorney's okay with, it, we're not having to do an ordinance, and then we're dealing with one entity that's not been very cooperative and responsive throughout this whole process. So does that maybe?
I actually really agree with the mayor's reading of the restriction there.
Okay, I hadn't thought of it that way, but
I
I think
hadn't
if there's another 30 days, Dylan, we're pretty confident, right?
I would feel pretty good about that. I'm not, like, they've met all of my requirements, they're just waiting on a few things for fire authority, so.
Chief, just real quick, I mean, we used to, so I promote people using discretion in our department, and that includes Zach, who's the code enforcement person who would be issuing said citation. And so oftentimes what Zach does, and I know Council and Andy know this, we're wanting compliance with these things. That's what the
That's the
city
goal.
ultimately wants. So I would recommend the same exact thing, that using discretion with people that are actually trying to come into compliance is, we do that all the time with abandoned cars. Hey, are you gonna get that fixed? Are you gonna get the plates? I mean, we do that all the time. So that's common practice, and I think something to consider, so.
No, that's good. All right, so, I believe as long as the compliant folks make it over the wire, the January 31st will be a deadline they do not cross, for, one that apparently probably isn't going to, be in compliance, then they had better not, exceed 30 days.
Right, and then after that, we'll work with Chief and Zach to move that in the correct enforcement direction.
All right. All right, well, that sounds real good. And, Dylan, I think you're up with the next one too, local planning grant.
Sure, yes, so we talked about this maybe a month ago or so. We are awarded $50,000 to work, to go towards housing capacity projects. And I said, talking about how to use that at an upcoming meeting, so here we are. And so since that time, the first one that we identified seems like a staff would recommend is to do market analysis work for the senior housing project at 839 Colorado 103. This kind of goes perfectly with the scope of our other planning grant that we have for the moment, but is needed to get sort of funding for the project going forward. My estimated cost was 5,000 to 10,000, but we talked to the consultants for that project who said it's probably likely to be more like 10 to 15,000. But it is something that's going to be required if we were to fund that project. So it seems like a good first use of the money. Then we have two other things that we could potentially use for the remainder of the fund. And one is more of like a short term, let's move forward with like another housing project right away. The second is more of a long-term capacity building. And so the short-term option would be to do the same thing we're doing on the senior housing site on other city-owned sites that we've kind of started looking at in the past. But that would sort of require us to commit to, like, let's try to build housing on this site now because we've put in the work and funding to do so.
That's what I was gonna say, is the money spent gonna be money that we have to spend again later on that?
It could be if we spend the money and then didn't move forward with it. It seems like that option would be more of a commitment to say like, we're gonna find a developer for this site. Whereas the other option, which we've talked with DOLA and its eligible expense would be to digitize all of our files. Or as many as we can, which would be all of our planning files, old building permits, old agendas and minutes and all of those things. And what that would do is not only give us an added bonus of create a more secure file system for the city, but it would give us a lot more information that we could give to future developers who want to acquire a site. And so that kind of builds capacity by having staff have to just sift through a ton of files all the time to give people information.
I'm just good, I think that going forward fiscally, you know, I don't wanna beat a dead horse, but just because of the amount of analysis that we've done on the parking garage that is not gonna be built anytime soon, I would rather get that money spent towards something that's actually gonna be completed and useful today, rather than maybe have to spend that money again in the future.
So would you say lean more towards the digitization?
Yeah.
All right, Scott, your feelings?
I kind of agree with Kate's thoughts there. We should review a couple different ideas maybe.
Okay. All right, Jeremy?
People on my track and digitizing our records, that's one thing we need to do anyways. Be a good use of that money just to get that project done.
Jane?
I agree.
All right, Lisa?
I'm with Katie in that I thought we put a lot of money towards analysis. This is something that we have to do, and if we have a grant to do it, I think we should digitize more.
Well, and the other benefit is if there's a lot of change going on with housing projects, potential housing projects right now, and building for the future so that we can then support more growth in the future sustainably might make more sense, like from a public perception than saying like, let's put it, another 20 minutes here or 10 minutes or whatever it is. It kind of just builds capacity in a more sustainable way. So
Sure.
I would agree.
If you do the digitization, then you can't do the market analysis, the first one, because then that's gonna go over the cost, right?
No, I think what we would want, at least what I would think is definitely do the first one because that gets the senior housing project much closer to reality. And then with whatever remainder we have, it at least starts the process. I think we were to digitize every file that the city has, it would be over whatever the remainder is, but I think we can do most of the planning, like we can do all the planning stuff and community development focused things within that scope is my thought. And if we have to, some things are missing, I don't know what files those would be, that we could either fund that through other sources or hold off on it for now.
All right, Dylan, do you need any further direction on this?
Well, as long as council's okay with it, then I will put together that scope of work before the end of the year, so Dola can approve it and get us some money in the next couple of months.
Okay, is everybody all right with that? Okay, all right, sounds real good. And one little bonus item, because we have a couple minutes still.
They're good, they're really
Carla?
good.
Carla, you have a
Andy's still hungry. Give him some chocolate.
charitable request. And actually, it's about signage.
It is, so, Clear Creek Arts and Education, which I'm the executive director of, reached out to, other Colorado Gives, nonprofits in our area, and working with Sadie from the business side, we said, why don't we do a Give Where You Live, sort of thing. So really promoting all of the nonprofits that are on Colorado Gives. So if they're on Colorado Gives, we reached out to them, and the ones we heard back from said, yes, absolutely. And Happy Llama had been asking, how can we give back to, because Happy Llama, I don't know if you guys know, has been working with Sadie on a lot of the business side of things. And so Happy Llama said, let us do this year. And so they printed 10-yard signs, 2 banners, which I have. They're like 3 foot by, I think they're 7 foot banners. And so we have 2 of those, and then we have a number of these yard signs. So some of these will go up in businesses. We talked to the businesses like Tommy Knockers. I've got an email out to Bojo's and Westbound, and trying to hit like different big areas on, and then yards as well. And so we're trying to hit throughout town to be able to say, hey, can we put these up, either in a public area? So some of these, there's a couple, I would love to be able to put a yard sign up, maybe. I think it's public, property in the planter where the, right by the gas station that doesn't get used down on the east side of town. I'd love to put a banner over or a yard sign in that planter there, because it seems like a good place along the east side of town. But we would love to put a banner on the 3 foot, like I said, 7 foot banner on Courtney Riley Park or the Horseshoe Pits. So that's definitely one banner location. We're trying to figure out where the other banner location could go. And I think, Dylan, if it's on private property, it doesn't need to be approved. Is that right? So one area, and I'm up for suggestions, but one area we were thinking was, maybe the Colorado Boulevard side of Old Carlson, along Colorado Boulevard there. But you still get, if you've got some ideas, I'm willing to.
Colorado gives these tomorrow.
Colorado Gives us tomorrow, yeah, so the signs came in a little bit late. But you can use them next year. You can actually give to Colorado Gives all year long. So the promotion day is tomorrow, so if we can get these signs up like in the morning tomorrow, if you guys think, are okay with getting signs out there on Courtney Riley Park and.
Well, let's just explore that just a little bit further. Nick, some bonus lawyering. If council so approves, is there a huge backlash to letting a charity promote something for all of the various community charities?
No, I wouldn't worry about, I was just thinking about the sign code though. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
The
any
sign code is a
issues.
thing, because I think it's after 45 days for that guy. However, on private property, as long as you want. And then the big guy, I think there's a limit. I think it's 45 days too.
Yeah, we were thinking through the end of this year for.
Well, how about, I would just suggest to council,
Somebody has to report you.
in the interest of time, if you're interested in supporting this, and that's the F, I'm gonna go around and ask. That it be approval with the understanding it not to exceed, the sign code maximum, okay? All right, and we'll go counterclockwise this time, Scott? Okay, Jeremy? Janine?
Yes, the next time include CASA, because we're a Clear Creek County.
Oh.
nonprofit that is on the website.
That's a
So
good one.
let's
Library.
support CASA.
Library.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Kate, you're board, Lisa?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you for coming in. Everybody, please take 5 and we'll resume with the regular meeting here.
Good call. Get us in there.
Sorry, you're gonna hold my plug in.
Well, I know I reached out to Libby, but I didn't.
Yeah, but Carla.
Again, why didn't you approve?
Again?
Oh, yeah, she's got a good spot. for us.
Okay. Okay. Did not give me.
Oh, I don't know, that's why. I've learned my lesson, I'm gonna try to help.
I haven't started that yet.
You guys have to receive.
Yeah, got a lot. Okay.
You know her long before her?
Good, sir. Yes, sir. Do we get next step?
These
It
guys.
was very long. We're much more different activities going on. I'm so tired from. I think let's understand.
Feeling better?
Yeah.
All right.
Good to see you. Tired. Just took a lot out. Right? We know it was a long trip, but we're still tired.
Yeah.
Are you
Made up.
Why?
Kelly, for your recipe presentation, I thought people really. thought it was gonna be
No craziness.
Hi, Judge. Nice to see you.
I like that.
Yeah, you know, I've known these guys long enough. They're not gonna get mad at us.
Showing up in.
I wouldn't wear it in your courtroom. Where, council meeting, judge.
I guess.
I didn't see it.
Janine's trying to hog it.
I love
Thank you very much.
I think it's Jeremy to the meeting.
I can't be joined with power without it.
He did, I didn't do it at all. And, we forgot it was still there.
I saw that, I was totally not aware of anything, so.
Andy, thank you for getting.
It is, yes.
You're very welcome.
Okay, he's never, so we're.
Okay. And I submitted one
on Saturday. 11 to that's fine. Wife's had.
I wasn't sure this one.
I haven't.
You were away.
It just depends on, went to a concert. And it was,
Yeah. You're right on time.
Guess it wasn't that memorable.
John Way to the sides.
Other than the request.
Very good.
The original.
Downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, Somebody else saying Pepsi, somebody else saying Coke.
Pneumonia.
Oh, wait a minute. Very good. Most of it.
I was just gonna go out and have dinner and have
After about.
Are you not smoking?
Their system had a glitch.
I know.
So it read my code going in and wouldn't let me out. And there's like 40 people backing up behind me. And I'm like, the gate, no, nobody staffs us.
Right now, right?
It's like,
Go outside.
perfect storm.
I don't even wanna go
Oh,
outside.
no, there was a lot.
Sure it does.
It was on a wet up at about 5 blocks further in from Baldwin. And it was an outfit we made our final list.
I saw that.
Yeah, you push the call button, it's like somebody in Chicago, you know? Hey, Jimmy, how are you? Yeah, good.
I know.
Cheaper, really good. It's a Dubai chocolate, it has pistachio.
Oh, no. Still be done laughing.
Nick, you got a chocolate?
I think I have.
I didn't poison you.
Thank you.
When did you get one? No. Somebody got, no wonder you're chocolate. You can do it.
When did it give you a time?
That'll do. No, I saw that Scott was up there.
Everybody, please, come on in and take your seats.
We always laugh.
Yeah.
I would like to welcome everybody to the December 8th, 2025 regular council meeting for the city of Idaho Springs. We'll call to order at 7:10. And I'd like to start off with roll call, please.
Kate Collier. Here. Janine Mariani.
Here.
Lisa Manifold. Here. Jim Clark.
Here.
Scott Pennell.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Here.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Here.
Thank you.
All please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. We have an agenda before us tonight. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda for Monday, December 8th, 2025.
Thank you, Janine. And do I have a second?
Mayor, I believe we have to amend the agenda to remove the executive sessions.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought that was if needed, but thank you, Nick. I did not catch that. Janine, would you amend for us, please?
Sure, I'll move to approve the agenda for Monday, December 8th, 2025 as amended, removing the executive session.
All right, very good. Thank you. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Lisa. Any discussion of the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Does anyone tonight feel they have a conflict of interest?
I do, Mayor,
Oh,
in the bills.
oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Jimmy. Anyone else? Hearing none, we will move to the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes for November 24th, 2025.
Thank you, Jeremy. And do I have a second?
A second.
Second from Kate. Any discussion of the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We have bills before us tonight. I would like to entertain a motion, accept, those from Allied Towing.
I'll move to approve the bills through December 8th, 2025, with the exception of Allied Towing.
Thank you, Kate. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Scott. Any, further discussion of the bills? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes, on this one, yeah.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. And, now if I could have a motion, for the approval of the Allied Towing bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the bill through December 8th for Allied Towing.
Thank you, Scott. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Lisa. Any discussion of the Allied Towing bill? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones. Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
We do not, Mayor.
Okay, Dylan, anybody online?
Nope.
All right, that will conclude, public comment. Hey, Gary, it's really good to see you. Especially good to see you tonight.
Especially.
Yeah. I noticed you're about having a hernia, bringing a checkup here. It's a giant.
So big. Any chance for you to pop out?
Yeah, of course.
Come out here with us.
I can't suck my gut in that much.
Yeah,
It's easier if I,
Just come on this way.
if I get a ladder. I think.
Yeah,
Don't worry, we'll go for it. You need like an escape route under.
I know, right?
Really does. Oh, mayor door, right?
Well, Mayor Door.
So we want to take a minute here at the end of the year and make a little bit of a big deal about the money that's being raised for truck trails at Virginia Canyon Mountain Park. This is the latest in the fundraising that we've done. We'll let her get her bit out. Casey, everybody. So this represents the fundraising we did with Myers Flyer Memorial Trail. That was friends, family, and we had a bike donated from Pivot Cycles. We were able to raise $65,000 with those efforts. And then we had our first year grant
Yeah,
from
70,000 from Shimano, right?
Trailborne, 70,000. So the two of those together, 135. We transferred that over last week. Overall, this brings us to just under 2 million spent on the park. And 80+% of that has come from outside the city.
Wow. Gary, thank you very much.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Appreciate that.
The good news there with Shimano is that we have already been approved for second year funding, another 70,000. And then for anybody else that's curious, we have a $200,000 grant application in now, which we need to talk about because those presentations are the first full week of January.
Yes.
So we'll be working on that. Thank you. And then we have some other corporate and business interests that we have in the meeting tomorrow. In fact, hopefully we'll have good news from another professional sponsor. And we'll keep that rolling. So thank you all for the
Thank you.
partnership, the opportunity.
Thank you.
Hey,
And,
Gary, I just want to say, thank you. And the breakdown was very helpful,
Oh, yeah.
in your report. The city, on about a $2 million park, we have pitched in about 19%. And while it's pretty quiet right now, I think it's very apparent that it's quite a shot in the arm for the city. It's a fun thing for locals and visitors alike. But our East End particularly has never been this busy. I know I've talked with a few businesses that are knocking it out of the park right now.
Great to hear.
And in years past, at least one of those businesses was hanging on by its fingernails. So that was a very welcome turnaround and benefit from the park.
And hopefully it's smooth sailing from here.
But I can't thank you enough. The report was a lot of information in there to digest, and it really, I think, put a big spotlight on where that money has been coming from, and I know we all appreciate that breakdown. And does anyone have questions for Gary, since we don't often have them?
Why you got me?
I do.
Kelly?
So since you're looking at the grant for with the CPW State Trails Program for about 200,000, are there?
The next one that we're
Yeah, the
applying
next
for,
one, it's a
yeah.
non-motorized trail. Are those just biking trails or those hiking and biking?
It's trail construction. That one is, the scope that we have in there right now is trails 11 and 8, which are both bike.
Are there, matching funds from the city required for that grant?
Yes, there's about 65,000 if I remember.
What was the latest on the sheep habitat shutdown and closure?
The seasonal closure this year started December 1, and we negotiated that it was only for the south end of the park. So everything from Morningstar to the hub and north, which leaves really 5 or 6 trails that you can still utilize, will be open throughout the winter.
And that's publicized.
So it starts a month earlier than it did last year, but we leave over half the trails open.
You have those blockaded and stuff, and then
We do.
literature out there for the bikers.
Yeah, we communicated about it. The city has, there are physical signs and barriers on those trails. And we're gonna be monitoring that. We have game cameras. We helped the city install last year. Dylan's in charge of those now. So we'll be able to keep an eye now on, like we did last year, on compliance and whether or not that's something we need. Send Chief Busick out there for that.
Are any of those 6 trails that are open for hikers?
Yeah, quite a, Morningstar, Buttermilk, and Rosa Gulch, upper half are all open to hiking.
And Gary, there are,
Probably half the mileage, I think.
And there also are some trails that are just for hiking in addition, am I right? Are there some?
Well, that one is 10-day jacks right now, the one that's solely for hiking.
Yeah.
And it is affected by the seasonal closure.
Okay.
and everything's gonna remain, closed on the south side until April 1st, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Unless, weather is such that, they have agreed to what we're calling an adaptive management process. So we will continue to monitor sheep activity, and weather and see whether or not that needs to go all the way to the end of March or not. Weather's been so crazy, who knows?
Oh, it has, yeah.
Fortunately, the district wildlife manager that helps make that decision lives on Riverside Drive, so he's well aware. He's well aware of what the weather is and isn't, where those sheep come out. Sends me pictures all the time.
Any, further questions for Gary? Gary, did you have anything further for us?
Nope, that's it.
Hey, again, thank you very, very much. Great work, by you and the team, and, I know we look forward to, the reopening here approximately April 1st.
Yeah, with less construction and
Yeah.
and other, we'll just have one entrance hopefully from this point going forward. and
Exactly.
Everything will be all ironed out. I know there's a big slate of potential activities, events and things that are already being talked about planned for next year. So that'd be great to see them.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, we don't have our finance officer with us tonight.
No.
And, next up, about once a year, we have this opportunity. Michael Goodby, Judge, Your Honor, please come on up. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a check.
Yeah.
Hard act to follow.
Sorry about that. So, thanks for the opportunity to come introduce myself. I see we have some new board, members and, I think it's great service that you do. About 30 years ago, I was an elected official here, actually, in the 5th Judicial District. I was a district attorney in the mid-90s. Here, so I have a connection here. And, I know that you don't do this work, for the glory or the money or the power. You do it because you care about where you live and you want to make it a better place. So to the new board members, thank you for being on board. I'm privileged to serve as your municipal court judge. I also do that in a couple other places, but it's one day a month. And have a good crew that I get to work with. Caseload, I saw that report, caseload's gone up a little bit. But I have to remember, like when I started, it was COVID hit and we had like next to nothing. And so we've gone from, maybe 25 people a court day to 50 to 80. So it's picking up. But it's okay. It's all right. It's nice to come up here and spend some time. But I have available for any questions or any concerns that you may have. Just wife and I, Michelle, we're just gonna go eat dinner afterwards.
Go enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you for you coming
Bring the
out.
check when you're spending money.
That's right.
Well, that was an excellent report.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Thank you. And really, I think it was a shocker, especially maybe for newer members, to see that escalation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's, well, the construction, you know, there's just and people just need to slow up a bit through there. They're driving pretty fast. I'd like to think that maybe the word is getting out, but each month it seems like there's, maybe the top speeds are slowing down a little bit, so.
and I noticed in your report, you had asked, were there any suggestions, that we might have? Frankly, I think it's a job well done, but I would like to go around and just see if there's any, questions from council. Jeremy, you have anything?
No, sir, do not.
All right, Janine? Jimmy?
I don't believe so.
Okay, Kate?
It might be one of the few departments that doesn't have a lot of complaints, so good for you.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, right.
Thanks to
Lisa?
hear. Thank you.
No, and I actually was somebody that over the last year had to be in your court, not
Yeah.
for tickets, so don't get any ideas. And the only thing that I would suggest, because I did have to request this, was that if something happens that both parties are not aware or a party to, make sure that both parties have the opportunity to speak with the prosecuting attorney
Oh, sure.
as to why a decision was made, because I didn't understand why the decision was made, and I went and sought that out. And she was wonderful, like no shade to Suzanne at all. She was great. She explained to me why things happened the way they did, because I'm like, whoa, what just happened here? And she was perfect.
It's a good suggestion. Yeah, I enjoy working with her.
Yeah, she's very good,
She's very fair.
very fair.
Okay.
No, great job.
Yes, one thing, just curiosity, Your Honor. So since you only do one day a week in the fifth judicial, where do you spend the rest of your?
Well, I
time
do
on the
one day a
bench?
month here. I do one day a week in Golden. And I do one day a month in Loch Bowie.
Oh, wow.
And I do one day, 2 days a month in Fort Lupton.
So you're spread out.
And then you're also relieved at Boulder and Westminster, is that
Yeah,
right?
so the ones I just mentioned are regular. And the other ones are if they need a fill-in or something. I was a district judge for about a dozen years. And then I decided that it's time to do something a little bit less weighty. And so I keep pretty busy. My wife tells me when I need to find work, something to do.
Get out of the house.
So, yeah, it's, you know, it's a nice change. I went from murder cases and $100 million lawsuits to traffic cases, where I can really kind of focus on trying to talk to people instead of, you know, the really kind of challenging, awful stuff. So, although we've had a couple cases here in the last couple of years that were pretty complicated too. We had, you know, the constitutionality of one of your ordinances that was challenged. That was a pretty complicated deal. And then,
I wasn't on council then, I'd like to make that point.
okay. So I mean, you can test my skills every, you know, it's good. It's good flex every once in a while.
I guess I have one question. Is court open to the public to come and observe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, you're always,
Okay.
Very efficient.
The third Thursday of the month.
yeah, you're always welcome to come up. We start at 9:30 unless everybody's ready, then we like to, since the dockets have gotten bigger, if we're ready to go early, we try to get going early.
Janine, bring coffee.
This place fills up.
I also want to thank you for your continued mentoring of future judges and Meals on Wheels a donation of your time. Very, very commendable. Thank you very much. And it has just been an absolute pleasure to have you with the city.
Thank you. It's very kind of you to say that. We really like the Meals on Wheels stuff. We do. It's nice to be able to give back a little bit at that stage of our life where we can do that. And the, you know, the National Judicial College work it's 2 weeks, living in a casino hotel, helping the judges out, but I keep going back. I don't know, it's the 7th or 8th time I've done it. It's just nice to work with the next generation and say, I think we're gonna be okay, you know? Anyway, thank you for your time.
Well, please have a good meal. Enjoy dinner.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Nice meeting you.
Next up, we're gonna have a public hearing on resolution number 32. I have a little spiel here. The next agenda item is a public hearing on resolution number 32, series 2025. A resolution summarizing expenditures and revenue and adopting a budget for the city of Idaho Springs, Colorado for the calendar year 2026 and appropriating sums of money for said year. The council is required by law to hold a public hearing on this item. The order of this hearing is as follows. I will invite city staff to give a presentation of a revised appropriation and budget. I will invite public comment. Any questions from council to staff may be asked and discussed. I will close the hearing. I will ask council for a motion on the resolution. Any questions about the process before we begin? I now open the public hearing on resolution number 32, and it is 7:28. City staff, please start us off.
Mayor, this has been always a long, intensive process. We start in June, July. Certainly, we had some additional things to consider this year. You've mentioned it as a transition year that we're going into, and I think it very much is. I just want to thank council for all the input and the work during the review and the departments and their work in putting together a budget, trying to find where we can have any savings while still providing services to the community and what's expected. There are no changes from the budget that was presented at our last work session. This is actually just a formal adoption tonight.
All right. I know we've discussed this quite a bit, but I wanted to give council an opportunity. Any further questions for staff? Is there any public comment tonight, perhaps online?
Don't see anyone online now.
All right, thank you for checking, Dylan. All right, well then I will close the hearing at 7:29. And I will ask council for a motion on the resolution.
I move to approve resolution number 32, series 2025, a resolution summarizing expenditures and revenues and adopting a budget for the city of Idaho Springs, Colorado for the calendar year 2026 and appropriating sums of money for said year.
Thank you, Kate. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jeremy. And any discussion?
This is not so much discussion as I would like to thank all of the staff, the administrative staff and the various departments who took the time, to put together budget concerns, put together questions, because I would not necessarily have known some of their concerns if they didn't take the time to do this. I know that's never fun to talk about money, but I really appreciate it. So thank you to all of the staff that took time for this.
Yeah, Lisa, well said. Anything further? Hearing nothing further, roll call, please.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. All right, next up, resolution number 33. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve resolution number 33, series 2025, a resolution levying general property taxes for the year 2025 to help defray the cost of government for the city of Idaho Springs, Colorado for the 2026 budget year.
Thank you, Janine. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead, Scott.
Second from Scott. And any discussion?
What was that, the increase on that?
It's about 280,000. Property taxes, approximately.
It's like 6.2 mils.
Right, spread out through the whole
It's not an
city, right?
increase of the mills, is it?
No, the
No, I
mill
didn't
levy
think
stays
so.
the same, it's
That's what I thought.
the assessments increased, of course.
Right.
All right, anything further? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. And next up, resolution number 34. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve resolution number 34, series 2025, a resolution approving a senior affordable housing restrictive covenant and agreement between the city and Alfred E. Brown, the property known as 839 Colorado 103, Idaho Springs, Colorado 80452.
Thank you, Lisa. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Janine. And any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Lisa Manifold,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
Janine Mariani,
Yes.
Kate Collier,
Yes.
Jim Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. And then the last of the resolutions for tonight, number 35. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion for resolution number 35, series. No, resolution 35, number series 2025, resolution approving and adopting the city council rules of conduct and procedure.
Thank you, Jeremy. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Lisa. And any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
Janine Mariani,
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Kate Collier,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. Well, we don't have any first readings or second reading ordinance tonight. Brings us to Nick. Nick, first of all, very festive shirt. Thank you. We appreciate the spirit and wanted to see if you had anything to share with us tonight.
No, I was up here for the restricted covenant. That went off without a hitch, so.
All right.
Here for the show now.
All right, very good. Okay, Andy. Thank you for your report and if I may, be probably you and Wonder to the tomorrow, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. If you can make it, we're having the city party. Is there anything further you can think of?
No, that's, hope everybody can make it tomorrow from, we're closing City Hall at 5. So our whole staff, staff here can get down to the party and
Yep.
5 to 7 or until the last person leaves, I guess.
All right, sounds good. And of course, as pointed out, Colorado Gives Day starts tomorrow. For anybody that might be watching online, that this is not inclusive of all of the charities. But anyways, we're happy to support that. All right, next up, we've got Guy. Did you have anything further to share with us tonight? All right, thank you. And Dylan, did you have anything further for us tonight?
Nothing for me tonight.
All right. Wonder, thank you very much for the staff report. Very interesting, up about 2.76 percent, which is like right dead even with the nationally recognized inflation rate. So I'm glad that we're able to keep up with our all-time record, even when including that. And did you have anything further to share with us tonight?
Remember, I don't think.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Can I just say 13 working days, 876 calls? That is a.
Yes.
Freaking
I know. Yeah.
The phones were hopping.
And between Wonder and Maria, that the lion's share of those calls are just, that's the two of you are handling 80+% of those 800+ calls. Pretty amazing.
From me.
Yeah. Oh.
Great calls.
Chief, another interesting report, never a dull moment. Wanted to see, did you have anything further to share with us
No,
tonight?
Mayor, I don't.
Okay, all right, thank you. Now Ed, Public Works, thank you for your report. Did you have anything further for us?
No, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much then. Let's see here. I do have something I would like to share under Mayor and Council, and that is about appointments for City Council Ward 1 and the City Clerk vacancies. Letter of interest are due to the Deputy City Clerk by January 7th of 2026 for consideration of appointments at the City Council regular meeting, which would be on January the 12th of 2026. And I'm thinking that I also, and this is a matter of procedure, I am just announcing publicly that we will not be having a council meeting on December 22nd of this year. Now, that is pretty normal for us. but we do need to officially recognize that. And, as Janine, pointed out, and, Nick, was having us, correct our agenda on, the executive session will not, be happening tonight. I would like, before we adjourn, just to ask if there's anything, further for the good of the order?
Yes.
Oh, what a surprise.
Isn't there always? So I am absolutely delighted that Kumba has made the presentation that they have. But the reason I asked about the grant was because and I'm glad that Janine asked about our matching funds. My concern is that this is Virginia Canyon Mountain Park, and not Virginia Canyon Mountain Bike Park. If you look at our original comprehensive plan, we are well over the number of bike trails. And one of the things that I am hearing from my constituents, I can't speak for anything else, is that there are a lot of them, even my, senior citizens, who would go up there and hike, who will not hike there. I'm not comfortable matching any more money from the city until we have a good plan in place for how we are going to have hiking trails. Only hiking trails, period. Like not sharing with the bikes,
It's not a hiking trail if you're sharing it with a downhill biker. I'm sorry.
They're generally uphills usually.
Well, but even, I mean, they're saying that they're monitoring the trails. I'm not sure how that is
My
working out.
folks don't wanna, people who complain to me don't wanna. hike
Yeah,
that.
I mean, again, this goes back to what I've said before. They're getting everything they wanted, and the hikers that were promised hiking trails only are not getting anything at all, so. Bravo that they've given us money and that they've brought in that much money, but they brought in that much money to open a park on our land. So,
That we hold the liability for, that our police officers monitor. So I would really like to ask that as we move into the new year and look at the next stage of this, that hiking trails are a priority.
All right, anything, further?
On that matter, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
So Sadie was gonna do some studies. Have we seen the results of some of those things that those people are spending
No,
money in our town?
Scott, I'm glad you brought that up. Let us, I will be seeing her soon. And I will ask, that's an AI driven,
Yeah.
placer,
cell phones, right?
yeah, let's get to the bottom of that. That's a very important question. I know we've asked that in the past. I don't think there's any doubt it has really been a big benefit to the east end, but I don't know how much is trickling down into our downtown area, for example. And Janine, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, housing authority update.
Oh,
We had a slow month. I'm now the chair and things are we're kicking it into gear. So
that's fine.
anyone who would we have a meeting next Monday and a work session next Wednesday. We definitely want to encourage alternates or anybody who's interested to come to meetings. They're both at the Health and Wellness Center. And we still have a lot to do, but I think we're on the precipice of making some important things happen, so.
all right.
But if you ever have any
Congrats,
questions, let me know.
That is okay. That's a good update. All right, anything further before I adjourn?